Good day. The world is still grappling with this unprecedented virus. They call it the COVID-19 or the coronavirus, and people are making fun of it, but yet it's claiming lives. As of this morning, about 662,694 cases have been declared worldwide, with about 30,494 deaths already, with Italy being the hardest hit country, but the virus is still spreading. Cameroon this morning recorded 113 cases, just 14 last night. It's a serious issue. We'll also talk about MANU DIBANGO, the big musician who has sold Cameroon's name better than many of us. We'll pay him tribute in our own way on Press Hour this midday. To do this, discuss these issues with me on the program this midday, we have from my right to the left, we have a regular face on the program now, Dr. Eric Tandy. You're welcome.
Thank you, Jim.
He's a public health expert and member of the task force put in place by the Ministry of Public Service in Cameroon to handle that. We have next to him is Professor Pascal Awa. He's a medical anthropologist. You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe.
And we have Tewi Lambif, editorialist CRTV. You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe.
And next to me is Professor Felicien Tonye. He is a musicologist and a psychiatrist. The two combine in a subject, or the two subjects that we have today. And given that, like I was talking to him...
Maybe more mental health than psychiatrist.
Okay, a mental health expert, but in situations like this, we need you.
I think
because
so.
A lot of people now are getting almost mad.
That's it.
Because of this virus, but more so because he comes from the same area with MANU DIBANGO, and he is so, in spite of the fact that he's a medical doctor, he is also an expert in music. I'd like us to begin with what the papers were feeding on. Our press review. Emmanuel Aviamnu.
Newspapers in Cameroon are flooded with news of the sunset on two of her illustrious sons, Foto Victor and MANU DIBANGO. As Cameroon Tribune writes, iconic saxophonist bounced out. African football legends mourn Cameroon's music bow MANU DIBANGO on the Post Weekender, just in time for the Guardian Post to inform its readers that music icon MANU DIBANGO dies of coronavirus in France. The Star on its heels writes, Cameroon loses business bow Foto Victor in France. The same business giant Foto Victor celebrated on the Post before the announcement on Cameroon Insider that Victor Foto is no more. On Municipal Update, it is a billionaire Foto Victor who bows out at 94. At a time, the fight against coronavirus takes a more serious twist. President Paul Biya, in a tweet, calls for increased vigilance on Cameroonians, as reported by Cameroon Insider, amidst increasing fears of hundreds of undetected coronavirus cases across Cameroon on the Post newspaper. As the Post Weekender questions if it is time for governments to use the whip and lash. An idea well developed on the Guardian Post that sees a jail term hanging over defaulters of government anti-coronavirus restrictions, as spelled out by Prime Minister Dion Ngute, before speculating that COVID-19 cases in Cameroon may rise to 1,000 within weeks if preventive measures are not respected. But the interest of the Voice is on what it writes. Corona pandemonium veils persistent atrocities in the northwest-southwest regions. The same atrocities reported on the Guardian Post. It writes, outrage in Jakiri as suspected Amber fighters execute couple in public. Yet in the face of this, still Northwest combating the spread of pandemic on all fronts, according to the Chronicle Times. At the time, government has called on Cameroonians to shun indiscipline, carelessness, recklessness to contain the virus on Municipal Update. Then the legislative election rerun in the northwest-southwest regions records a massive voter turnout on Municipal Update, but rather a poor turnout, killing of two marked election rerun in Bamenda on the Post newspaper. At the time, Minister Felix Mbayu confident of CPDM victory after casting his vote on the horizon. Cameroon Tribune then writes legislative election rerun, voting takes place. Then torrential rains wreak havoc in Boya on the post-weekender as torrents hit dozen neighborhoods in Boya on Cameroon Tribune, just in time for a new general manager to speak on reasons for power cuts and measures taken to remedy it on the Star, as mayors are called to order on Cameroon Tribune by the Minister of Decentralization. The information by government to spend 4 million CFA francs on each coronavirus patient in 14 days. The US-based Amazonian activists under terrorism spyglass and a warning that Cameroon's crowded prison threats to government's anti-corona efforts equally form stories reported by the papers this week. Let's now end our press review with this story on the Guardian Post, where a renowned Anglophone surgeon, Dr. Chiwaga John Ndenge, has died. Former regional delegate for public health for the Southwest region and one-time director of the Boya Regional Hospital, died few years after retirement. Until I come your way again, this is your Hour with the Press.
Manu was so good that even the French claimed he was a French citizen.
Yes, it's true that Manu stayed long in France, but he has always claimed that he's a Cameroonian, first thing. The second thing is that we have sometimes neglect our capacities in this country, so the other countries will certainly take advantage. The French will see that this person who is very important could have been one of their persons,
Exactly.
so they decided that this music was from France. But definitely, Sol Makossa was written in a national, a Cameroonian context,
yeah.
and definitely by a Cameroonian who has claimed till that his death that he was a Cameroonian.
Okay. What struck you when you heard that Manu had died?
As a physician, I know everybody will die. I know this person, when he stopped smoking, I was nearby his side and I knew that there was something changing in his life when he told me that he had stopped smoking. And I also knew above 80 years old, things will be starting changing, and I would have wished him to stay alive. I had not seen him all this time, but I had him on phone when we were burying Charles Limbe, and this was something as a guy from Yabassi. He told me that he was sharing with us, but he could not come to Cameroon for this occasion. He organized some waykeeping in France for Charles Limbe, but this has not been long ago.
Okay.
And this corona has come, and I think
taken him away.
Yes, we need to learn that we are facing a very, very serious matter.
Okay.
That you can even be sick of malaria and you go and catch corona somewhere else.
Exactly. Okay, I'll come to you shortly. But Tewi, how did you feel when you heard Manu had died?
Well, like doctor said, all of us would die, but now it depends how you die. Manu's death, I think in his death, it's still useful that he died of this coronavirus 19. It's an indication that Cameroonians should take it seriously. So his death, in as much as it may be painful, nobody wants any loved one, talk less of somebody who has been so useful to the country, to die. So his death can serve as a communicative,
a wake-up call.
Wake-up call for those who thought that this thing is a joke. And I think in his death, he's still useful.
Okay. How did you are mature enough to have known Manu, to have listened to him, and Manu has over 70 records, and Manu has lived across generations. And today, we look back, even though at 86, he was still as strong and vibrant like somebody in his early 50s.
I knew he was 86 years old. And given his structure and the energy he had, I was surprised that somebody as healthy as him could die. But then it was just a message to the world that the virus that is around called corona could sweep any other person away. So it shocked me again because he is a music icon. An icon that can be sold across the world. He had become an international personality to the extent that many people paid homage when they heard that he was dead. Presidents of other countries and other personalities wrote to regret that MANU DIBANGO was gone so soon.
Doctor, has this not, like the last two speakers have said, helped or drawn your attention to the fact that there is something Cameroonians have to learn from a personality like him?
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. You see, we continue to call the attention of the public that gone are the days or gone are the period where we keep referring to COVID-19 as being the issue of the white and not black skin. We've seen icons going already, just like MANU DIBANGO. We have to continue to take things very serious. Cameroonians need to know that the threat of COVID is real, and we have to respect all preventive measures that I guess in the course of the program we're going to elaborate much on that.
Yes.
But it doesn't leave anybody out. All of us are touched, and we need to be very careful and conscious.
Okay. Professor Tonye, how would you are a musicologist. How would you describe MANU DIBANGO's music?
MANU DIBANGO's music is definitely the beginning of world music. That's the man has been playing from typically local music, based on the fact that he has capacities to write and and rewrite, and he was a head of band orchestra. He could transform our local music to world music. That's why Soul Makossa is something people would think that it's the French will say it's their music. MANU DIBANGO has the capacity to play jazz music. He was open to all the other philharmonic music. Is somebody who, knowing that he has sacrificed his studies to play music, he went deeply in music, and this is somebody who was so open and simple that he could even catch what could come from the youngest. And he has been playing music with old, young. He has been playing music with African, Westerns, and even Americans, and so on, and even Asians. So Manu has the key to get inside the other people communication around music. So if in case you meet MANU DIBANGO in a group of musicians, he could adjust and replay. That is why this is somebody we could not classify. And we were proud to see that when he comes to the country, we were afraid to play with him, but he could tell us, no, it's so easy. Just do like this and it will go. So this is somebody, even at the level of pedagogy, he was able to transmit his capacities. MANU DIBANGO is a huge icon, and people have said it. And this is also teaching and learning and, explaining to us that we've got kind of icons in this country, but we shouldn't neglect. Yesterday, music was deserved to those who have failed in life, who are, let me say, those who could not attend school and so on, those who were delinquents and so on. MANU DIBANGO is showing what music could have brought in a community. And I'm here to say that music is above dancing, above, delighting people by listening. Music is also a curative something.
Therapy.
I am imagining a society like ours for one day without music. People will turn sick and I think mad. So music is something that has an impact in the wellness of the communities.
Now, so, how would you describe Manu's music within the world context?
Now, it's something that it's universal. By saying it, I mean that if you put Manu's music in America, it will be.
It will adapt.
It will adapt. And if you bring Manu's music around the Pygmies community, they will still adapt. So this is somebody who, during his existence, have just, built something that touches the mind, the feelings of everybody. Manu is somebody, is not just a musician. Manu is somebody is spiritual. And there's a spirituality in his music. And if you listen to the word he's sharing, during his music. People see saxo, but some of his words were very, very communicative and they had sense. So he was kind of poet. People would not see. And by age, he became matured. And I think for us, it's a patriarch, what they call in French a patriarch, somebody who was already matured and who could transmit. Let's take that person like a wise person. A wise person in music, a wise person in life, and definitely somebody who has existed very simply.
Okay.
And it's an example for us.
You come from the same locality like MANU DIBANGO.
Yes, Yabasi.
Yabasi. There is something peculiar about that Yabasi. A lot of musicians, very big names, you can cite them. Charlembe, Pierre de Moussy, Sally John, our former minister of communication. So what's peculiar about your community?
I think what people have to catch is one thing. The German, they brought that Baptist church. I think the German brought the Baptist church. But I know my grandfather...
No, the British.
Yes, but my grandfather
Alfred
was...
Secker.
Yes, but before them, the church was organized in, praying was singing.
Okay.
So the choirs are something which is culturally extended in the Sawa people. But Yabasi being, because people will not know that during the German period, Douala was not the place, the very important place. Yabasi was rather the important place.
Okay.
So people will, they take the river from this, that's from the Wuri, what they call today the Wuri side, the Wuri River. I've never seen a river that changes its name before reaching the sea. But the Nkam River is the one that passes under the bridge. Okay. They will call it Wuri, I don't know how. But anyway, those are the geographic.
Okay,
but let me come back to the fact that people were rather, we were rather driving to Yabasi, where the Germans were based.
Okay.
The Germans could not stay at the sea, at the bay.
Okay, at the estuary.
Yes, because it was dangerous for them. So Yabasi was a very, very developed place. Yabasi is in a division that is in a carrefour of more than 8 divisions. So it's a developing pole. But unfortunately, you will be surprised that this is the last division in the littoral. But just to say that inside that place, there were also many capacities, including artistic production. It's not only music, even painting, even writing, and so on. These are people who were very dense, and they are mixed. We have the sensitivity of the Bamileki, the grass field. We have the sensitivity of these guys from the Banen, the Mbam. We have the sensitivity of these guys, of our cousin, the Bassa, the Bakoko, and so on. And then we have the sensitivity of our brothers who came from Congo, who are just down, the Douala. And that is mixed and allowed us to have these capacities. People were surprised that I started playing music, I was 16. My father was afraid that music will not lead to something, but I had never stopped playing music, although I decided just to be like a normal Cameroonian, to practice medicine, I love medicine, that is true. But music is very important, and by playing music, I feel myself, and when I went to bury Charles Lembe, we went to Yabasi, and we met children who were playing this bolobo and this mbala. It was so artistic that I was surprised. So it means that this is a group of communities. I am to say, maybe Awa is an anthropologist to say that when you have a mixture of culture, it becomes dense and the productivity becomes very, very, and this is the reason. No, we shouldn't take. Nkonsamba people, they are our cousins. They are also productive. Those guys from Udwala, they are also productive, but the density is there in Yabasi.
Okay, well, I will come back to you. Maybe you react to what Professor Antonio has just said concerning MANU DIBANGO and the Yabasi people and their giftedness in music.
Yeah, he's brought up one truth that Cameroonians don't always realize. At one moment, I was wondering whether the Yabasi people, they have a complex, whether they would want to identify themselves as Douala people, and I thought that's one reason why many people don't even know that Yabasi is an entity in its own right, and that has produced a good number of our musicians, even the Makossa, the Ambaspi, all those things. These are Yabasi people. But my preoccupation is with people who would leave. He said that during the German period, the movement was from the estuary, from the river, the sea, up to Yabasi.
Yes, which was safer.
Yes, but now it has changed. It's now moving instead from Yabasi to Douala.
Yes, because it's been developed. Now,
and people stay
let's
there.
not lose sight of the fact that we are paying tribute to Manu Dibango.
If I could quickly add, yes.
Another son of Yabasi.
We've always had this problem in our country where our heroes are celebrated when they are dead. But for Manu Dibango, a few years ago, and that to the advantage of the merits of the government, they did recognize him as an icon, but it took so long. Yeah. I hope that his death at this time, because he himself, I followed some of the statements he made, that the tribute that was paid to him, I think you better pay tribute to somebody, recognize somebody for his contribution to
and the government did that.
The government did that a few years ago. And which should
Professor Awa?
Yes.
Reaction to what he's saying.
Exactly.
The production, Manu and Yabasi, and the Yabasi people and their contribution to music.
Manu is dead, but his works are alive. Somebody who has written 70 books is not like just eating 70 times. It's a huge contribution, because if you get each of his albums, it is equal to a book. Anthropologists will do a very good analysis about it. Historians will do a very good analysis about it. And that is it. So he should be given, yes, he was recognized, but this is a time that we create a museum of music where Manu's music will be kept there, and other musical icons, so that we don't lose it, because music is medicine. When you are sick and they play the music you like, you get well. You don't ask me to explain how that happens.
No.
Yes.
It surely happens.
Yes.
And recently I invited a band, a choir in CSU, where I am managing as a deputy manager, and the patient will leave their beds, even those with clutches, and come and share that moment. It shows that there is something, and they go back to their beds very happy and satisfied,
relaxed.
And I think that health is not, and this is especially health is being well, feeling well despite the disease. This is the definition of
what I was saying. Manu's music, which cuts across, you may not know why Americans like it. It is because they integrate it into their health system. When they have patients in the hospital, just listen to Manu's music. Anybody can dance it. When the music is played, it permits you to meditate. You listen to yourself, and it heals your body. Okay, from there, let me go to the Yabasi.
Come to us.
Before the Germans even came, it is African tradition that in the evenings, people settle down, sit around a fire.
Soir au village.
Or sit under the moon when it is shining. They sing, they dance. But when you have another opportunity, where in an area you have different cultural groups coming together, you have much more music.
Exactly.
You wanted to say something, Doctor?
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. I just want to agree with Prof. and Terry and Professor Awa on what they've said. There's what we call musicotherapy is very important as far as the health of the population is concerned. However, being from Yabasi, Manu has played a lot of roles, but I will not carve out that other areas in Cameroon are equally playing a very great role, You know, with the diverse culture that we have, we at least have musicians from each of the regions. I think that has played a lot of role as far as Cameroonian unity and togetherness is concerned, but especially on the relief and happiness of the population.
Definitely.
Would you people have something special for Manu in Yabasi, given that he's been buried out of the country?
We are very sad, but we do understand that this corona pandemic is that was affected. So it is increasing some more sadness. But we decided that we will stay quiet. We are fighting the corona, and we think that we will overcome the corona.
Okay.
And that after that, we will still be there by the will of God and organize it the way it should be done in the Yabasi for him.
Okay, and he would invite the rest of his children to come and see how the birthplace of their father. And he just talked about the evening. I'd like us to face out with one of Manu's most remarkable songs, Soir au Village. Manu DIBANGO. Good enough, he left something for us. And like the artists always say, a musician never dies, or the social scientists say musicians never die. But one thing about his death is what was said earlier on, that corona is real. But we have something which is going on in the country which people are still reticent about this disease. They say keep a distance, at least 2 meters, others don't care. Now, many people are asking the question, why this reticence amongst Cameroonians and some Africans? Apparently, you, the scientists, say the protective approach to that virus is the most appropriate because you haven't yet had a treatment for it. Am I right?
Yeah, definitely you are very right. Very, very correct, Joe. You know, especially with COVID-19, which is new, it is very, very early for us to start giving actual methods of treatment, especially when it comes to treatment. But we try to dwell more on preventive measures based on early findings, you know, to actually curb a new strain of disease in the community. It needs some time. So we're trying all possible best to focus more on preventive measures. And one of the preventive measures that is very principal at the moment is social distancing, just like you mentioned a few minutes ago. And in that case, focus is laid more on people to stay at home. So once we stay at home, we'll try to respect, to avoid some of these contacts. But if you look nowadays, even though it is prescribed that we should have at least 1.5 meters from each other, but when you get into our market square and even boarding a taxi, all this is not respected. So it all boils back to self-discipline about the population. We have to be very conscious here and self-discipline as far as preventive measure is concerned. Hand washing on regular basis, I do agree, and maybe protective methods during sneezing and even avoiding contacts with animals. But then we have to go beyond that, and that is what is very tantamount at the moment. We are very grateful that the administration or the government has responded with some measures already that we need to follow. But the population are still resistant, just like you said. But why this? I think is self-discipline.
Yes, let's turn to the social, the medical anthropologist. Why do we still have this reticence amongst some Cameroonians?
We still have this because the population does not yet find themselves in the disease. They are still trying to make sense of what the disease is. It is quite new. It took a long time for them to make sense of HIV. Ebola never came here, so we could not know what it would mean when a virus attacks. So the population has not been prepared to receive the message that there is a virus. Because the language that is used still looks very strange to them. Because when they look at coronavirus, they see it in a whiskey, they see it on a machine used to grind spices or egusi and so on. They see it on T-shirts, on dresses. So they think, okay, it's just something which is just a joke. Now, what actually will make them people?
Now, should the government use, or should the media frighten the people about the seriousness of this virus?
No, they don't need to be frightened. They need...
What type of language should the media use?
The media should go right into the cultures of the people. They will get the right language to use. I just want to give you an example. This morning there was a storm. Let me say some mini storm, some tornado in the rain. You saw nobody outside. Everybody, those who were driving their cars, they parked. Those who were in their houses stayed at home. Even the taxi men who were running around to pick up passengers, they parked their taxis. Traders closed their stores. They found themselves in the storm. They knew it was dangerous. If we go back to our villages, our traditions, because the Cameroonians are living a life of a hybrid culture, where they cannot more find themselves anywhere. What used to obtain in the near past was that when there was an epidemic, which used to happen, they will warn everyone something is going to happen or something is happening. People who are more intelligent than us have gone to trance and taken bundles of riches. But when they arrived, they opened their bundles. They instead brought what? Diseases. So for us to clean our land, let everybody go into their house. People will move into their houses. And only those who are specialized, the specialized medicine men, stay out to face the devils or the witches.
Now, when you say what you're saying, you're explaining, do you want Cameroonians to invoke their traditional approaches to the town, invite town criers, and if that's the case, how would you handle a place like Yaoundé, which is very big, you can't have the town criers and all whatnot?
We are already doing it. This is TV, this is radio. Even in the neighborhoods, you can use local community networks to talk to the people. Because, I mean, all the virus, I mean, the cases that are being found now in Cameroon are imported cases. Most of them, I can say, are imported, which is similar to people who have gone to somewhere and brought diseases to infect the community. That is what the Cameroonians will understand. And then they begin to say, okay, those who came in some flights brought in diseases which are infecting us. And the way to do it, let's go back to the way these diseases were handled in the near past. Let's confine ourselves and allow those who are specialized to face the disease, face it. And when it is done, then they come back. Okay. Which is what goes, which takes us to what they call confinement. We take Cameroonians, and they are ready to do it. Preparedness, it means when we were at 10 or at 5, would I say Cameroonians, stock up, buy food. Just like they used to tell people in the near past. If you go to the village, if you don't use this approach, because we are talking about Yaoundé, very soon when you will land in the villages, it will be something else. You tell them, go to the farms, bring food, and our farms in town are the markets, stock up, and stay at home from this date to this date, because we want to handle this disease. Okay.
Yeah, now, when he explains what he explains, and you look at what's happening in our community, in our different communities today, it looks like it's a question of the social integration into the new dawn for people who have been used to another lifestyle.
That's correct, Joe. That's correct. This is a new phenomenon. And we say, when you are not sure, we say, in doubt, you leave it back, stay out. When you are not certain of what you're going to have out there, the reasonable approach would be stand back, observe before you act. But unfortunately, I must say we have failed in that. And this is where leadership comes in, where we have leadership is preempting, is addressing crises before they arrive. If you are a leader, if you are a government, and you deal with day-to-day issues, then I bet you are not succeeding. Let me become more concrete. When this thing started, prevention, for now, that is what I mean, stand back. Wait until you are sure of what the reality is before you venture into anything. There is an issue that I'm going to describe as selective quarantining. Selective quarantining. I don't understand when they say people should be quarantined.
Confine themselves.
Confine themselves. Mm-hmm. The responsibility, the responsible attitude is for everybody to abide, no matter who you are. There should be no discrimination when it comes to self-isolation. I can't understand that people will come back in a plane, and today we're still chasing them. And the example comes from the top. A senior member of the Republic who would normally set the example by self-isolating himself would get out there in the public. If that is not irresponsibility, then I don't know what irresponsibility is.
Okay.
Let me continue.
Maybe a little bit fast.
This disease knows nobody. Angela Merkel self-isolated herself when she noticed the symptoms. The prince, the Count Prince of England, is isolating himself. The Prime Minister of Canada, and you can name them.
British Prime Minister has caught the virus too.
And then what is this irresponsibility that Cameroonians, senior Cameroonian politicians, will take the risk of putting the lives of others in danger by coming to the public?
Okay.
That is irresponsibility.
We've had the point, but the most difficult part is the series of measures which government has taken. He just mentioned there about taxes, the motorbike taxes. How can we sensitize or get that group of people to be able to abide? And when they say stay back, for most Cameroonians, our lifestyle, most people don't have fridges in their homes, and it will be difficult to stock. I know most families in Yaoundé go to the market almost on a daily basis or once in 2 days. Yes. What advice would you give the people to be able to get the government measures applicable to themselves?
The government measures are very good, okay? But now implementing those government measures need human resource and appropriate human resource. It's not just that we come and sit here and we start talking. To talk to a motorbike driver, you need to adjust with his level of understanding first. To talk to a woman who goes to market because she cannot, she can't stock at home. Mm-hmm. There is a way of talking to the person to bring acceptance. Mm-hmm. If they do not accept mentally, you will fight. You could even beat on them and do everything. It will be not sense. Mobilization, social mobilization. It means that the whole society of Cameroon understands that this is a crisis and there is a threat against our country. Social mobilization and community participation. That is, each of us decided that he is going to fight Corona. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm saying it because we have always been treating our communities like people. I remember HIV. HIV, even in hospital, they used to say, you have been infected, you have not followed the instruction. Until when the doctor themselves started becoming sick of HIV. So this is something which is a crisis. And every time when a crisis arrives, there's a stress release and people need to adjust. When you see a motorbike not responding to the instruction, maybe mentally he's just denying the reality. But why can a human being deny the reality? It is a protective measure. Everybody use the mental mechanism of deny, that he protects himself until when he is down. So they call it mechanism de défense, denial mechanism. If you don't go through understanding how the mind of people is set, you could not be able to communicate. That's why I'm saying that even the team that have been built, that the scientific team, I hope that there are people among them who know how to build this communication. Because if they do not know, then they are wasting people's time. This is a country we are facing a war. Normally, first of all, washing hands. I saw a person who came to see a patient in CHU. I asked him, have you washed your hands? He said, this is the third time he's washing his hand since the morning. So you understand that. There is a difference between the understanding of washing hands, that he understands very well, and the washing hands, which is a preventive strategy.
Nature, yeah.
So you need to more continue its pedagogy. When you teach somebody, you need to meet its level of understanding. He can be resistant. It's not by beating. Sometimes they think that it will work. But I'm still saying that at this date of today, all of us in this country, we are 25 million. Each should have a mask in his face. At least when
so?
I enter, yes, I am saying it clearly that to confinement, it is traumatic, mindly. You can't confine everybody. I know patients here.
But the Indians have done it about a billion people.
Let me tell you, brother Joe, I know Cameroonians who came back and confined themselves for 15, 20, even 40 days. They decided to do that. There are others who, just by telling them to be confined, they are anxious about that. So you need to go through. You will not force somebody if you don't understand how the mind is set. That is why mental health is today one of the aspects they should address to prevent this, because it is behavioral based. I'm telling you.
Okay.
It is a behavior.
No.
Let me just conclude. I led an experience in 1925. After the genocide in Rwanda, I was sent to build the mental health policy in that country. And I did it in 11 items. They implemented it. The behavior in that country is different because behavioral sciences are very important, as well as cognitive sciences. People knew that when this corona will enter Africa, it's going to be a jam. People are going to be confused, surprised, because they are not prepared. Yet, I am saying that this virus came from abroad. And it met Cameroonians who used to have their corona. There are many corona around. They used to have yes, this is the period, January, March, where a lot of
flu.
This flu is frequent. We used to have it. And even we were in flu before this corona event arrived. So please, I am saying that washing hands, we should still be pedagogic and tell them that it's important for them so that they take it as their own responsibility. Don't force somebody to be responsible. Make
the person
understand.
Okay.
Second, the mask. The mask. They are telling me that they are special masks, and they are even certainly afraid of the mask which is coming from abroad because nobody knows now. So, a mask used to be something we use in the theater to protect the surgeon. I don't know what's the difference. There should be a kind of mask that is locally made, that protects you from spitting on the other person. And that will allow us to reduce the confinement of people. You cannot, I am telling you frankly, you can't put all the Cameroonians inside houses and lock.
Okay.
There's going to be people committing suicide inside. Some other will die off. You should take all these factors in account.
Okay. All right. I'll be coming back to you.
And we are there to help. I'm concluding that we can give these capacities because all of us have, each of us can bring something we meet.
That's why you are on a program like this.
That is it.
Those who Cameroonians are watching,
communication,
the government officials are watching also.
Appropriate communication.
Doctor, there are fears. I've seen postings that the figures might rise in the days ahead because we had most of what the cases we had were those who flew in and that they had contacts, and so there are projections that the situation might get worse, not even better.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Perhaps rapidly, let me just react to some of the observations that were made.
Yes.
When it comes to communication, I think the Ministry of Public Health has been trying its best, and even under the mandate of Dr. Manauda Malashi, even sometimes at 2 a.m., he tried to inform the population of Cameroon. I think there is no community, I want to believe, in Cameroon that is not aware of what is going on and the measures, especially those who we think that are not well informed, the Okada, the taxi men. I want to clearly mention here that these are the people who have most of the information and who are very, very current with certain decisions that have been taken. For example, we said it's difficult for us to ask people to stay at home. We've had experiences in this country that has caused people to be at home for more than 10 days. I think most of you here will testify with me as far as that is concerned. If we are in a crisis that leads to human life, we must be very, very careful that we educate the population, especially on public media like what we have. And again, they said we can't keep taxi people off, but if people decided to stay at home, and then I think the bike guys or the taxi men will be unable to have people to carry around town, and even in the market squares. I think this is a kind of communication that needs to go on. Coming up to your question about the figures, my rise. Again, let me just come back here to say, after getting the information that we are on 113 confirmed cases as of this morning, as far as the Minister of Public Health rightly said, I think the population with the denial spirit should think otherwise. And even with some of the icons that we've lost, should start thinking more. However, the minister has communicated many times that those who have come in should be self-disciplined enough to own up, and has even provided a toll-free numbers where you can call, and there will be people coming for your rescue. However, like we said, the mortality rate of this virus is still very low, but not cancelling the fact that it is dangerous. Why the fear in the population to call the toll-free number and be safe and save even other members of the family that we have? Just like at the beginning of the program, it was mentioned clearly that most of the cases we are recording are all imported cases. And again, the minister has just announced a sensitization campaign and a screening campaign that will orientate the population towards specific screening procedures that will be performed within the period of 2nd to the 7th of April in order to calm or to track those who are still in the community that are producing some signs of risk, you know. Because after producing cough or headache, just like Prof said, it's not enough to conclude that somebody has coronavirus. You need to go for your test. And after the test, it will be managed. Okay. I think the population needs to be calm here and keep away from fear, and then let's tackle it.
Now, do you systematically check anyone or everyone who goes to the hospital today with cough and fever? You cross-check such a one for corona?
Yeah, that is very potential and routine now, because it's now systematic. If somebody comes to the health facility producing some of these signs and symptoms, it is but obvious that this has to be taken into consideration.
Okay. Now, we have just about 5 or 6 minutes to go to the end of the program. I'd like us to take this round. What concretely can be done to add, to help Cameroonians to cut down and eventually eliminate this virus from Cameroon? I'd like us to go this way. I'll begin with you,
we need to have a multisectoral approach of this problem, not only a health approach of the problem. And this situation should be taken in account at a very high level of our country. That's even, I think the head of state should be involved in this process.
He is already involved.
He is, but I want it to be...
He spoke through the Prime Minister.
That's it. So the Prime Minister, the Minister of Health, and the other colleagues of the Prime Minister, the Minister of Health.
The Minister of Public Service,
I think,
Minister of Defense.
I think there are more sectors than that.
Okay.
Everywhere where Cameroonians are. Second thing is that there should be a communication daily communication. All that I see on media is frightening people. I am a psychiatrist. I listen to what people are sharing. It's more threatening, and it's more, people are afraid. The level of anxiety in our community today is very high relating to this corona. So we missed that goal. We should have reassured, that people should have been reassured that something can be done. I don't know how is managed when somebody goes in an hotel to stay, and how he is, because in that hotel, I think it will only be the hotel of corona. Because if there is a receptionist, a restaurant, and so on, then we are still in a very... The other thing is that I would have loved to have only one hospital for corona. Because, you know, I cannot imagine...
That you ferry a case from Limbe to that hospital?
No.
Okay, each town should have just one hospital?
Yes, if placed, because we have that capacity. I am telling you that if you take a patient from Yaoundé and you go and put him in a bed in Sangbelima, it is a spreading process. Mm-hmm. We have seen it with cholera.
Okay.
We have seen it. So I was to say that we have this caserne of the army. We can open special places for corona patients. Don't mix those patients with, in Sergi, if you put one corona case, all the others will be infected. So these are things we should do very quickly and to end. There should be a daily assessment of situation. I think that the doctor is saying that we are now...
The Ministry of Public Health is
so it
113.
It should be a rapid assessment procedure, which is different of counting the cases that they are sending to you.
Okay.
The rapid assessment.
All right.
I think those are ideas we can share with the team.
Okay.
And make it so that we update our condition, because this thing is moving too fast, and by planning only, we will be late.
Okay. Tewi?
Joe, I have
45 seconds.
Just two things.
Yes.
We need to decentralize the management of this crisis.
Of the crisis?
Because we need to empower the councils. Because if you see for example, what the mayor of Tico or the council in Tico did, at the end, coming into the municipality, people had to wash their hands, and there were posters there. It can help.
Okay.
Secondly, they say people should wash their hands, and the question people ask is, where is the water? I think the government can go out right there. These 1,000 liters of water that containers, the government can put it.
We don't have much time again. Make water available. Teke, I'll give you just 30 seconds.
Everywhere with soap, with ordinary soap.
Yes. Thomas Joseph says Manu Dibango was not only a musical icon but a legend, and he also a music icon, and Cameroonians should learn from his demise to protect themselves from the coronavirus. Prince Mutabema Obesa Mojika says there's a lot of false rumors about a virus that has led to the killing of several people. Cho Water says the fundamental problem is ignorance and asymmetry of information about COVID-19, which has led to poor strategies in fighting the virus.
Okay, sorry you came in slightly late. We can't. Maybe just one word, and then the doctor concludes.
Yes, I have one word. If we have to wash hands, water has to be provided, especially in the cities.
Okay.
Break the pipes on the road, set up places where people can wash their hands as they move along.
Okay.
And confine people to the house.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. To come up with a conclusion, just to say that there is a full decentralization process already as far as the management of this COVID-19 is concerned. And again, on the part of the Ministry of Public Health, he has said in daily press briefing to update the population of Cameroon as far as COVID is concerned. However, when it comes to the issue of social distancing, which is very tantamount and recommended, we don't think the multi-sectorial setting of system that we already have should come into play or start chasing people in the street that don't go to the market or don't do this or this kind of situation we are not planning to get into it. So self-discipline is what is very important. I want to urge the population of Cameroon that please, this issue is real. Take all preventive measures that have been recommended, especially try to avoid going into communities, stay at home as a preventive measure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. With that, we conclude this edition of the program. It's certain that the virus has not yet gone away, so we will be coming back on that to help you understand what it is. Especially, we'll look at our rural communities. Should they accept people coming from our cities or not? Next week when we meet again. Until when we meet then, stay with CRTV if you can, and have a nice time.
CRTV News, nothing but the news.